The dean was right there, you signed it right on the spot. You're just sore loser because I won the bet. Sure.
All right, thank you all for showing up today. We're going to have a little short talk about our professional development needs here at South San Antonio High School. And first of all, let's introduce each other. And we'll start with you.
My name is Fernando Vera. I teach the Early College Health Program.
My name is Michael Usry, and I teach biology.
My name is Mario Sanchez, and I teach Spanish.
Raymond Castillo, Pre-AP English 2.
Josh Gandu, physics.
My name is Dustin Walls and I teach AP Health.
Outstanding. All right, well, as we go through this agenda, we've got a series of 5 to 6 questions. All these questions will be related to the professional development we had last year. And as we start preparing for this school year, I'm going to get your ideas on what we need as a school as far as getting you the training you need to be more effective in the classroom. So we'll start off with Mr. Vera on this side, and then the second time around we'll work our way around the other way. So Fernando, this past school year, how effective do you think professional development has been for you as a teacher?
I think they're, out of all the professional developments we had, they ranged in what they're targeted to tell us, to as far as, okay, was it for attendance purposes, was it for classroom management? And I didn't see the relevance in several of them because of the level of kids that I feel that we are trying to reach. Sometimes I feel like they bring the professional developments from elementary level and the young kids, and might work great. You even see the videos of these elementary kids. It doesn't seem relevant, so I kind of felt like we missed some of the relevance and being able to apply it directly to what we do in our actual classroom.
To a high school setting?
To a high school setting, and even that's going to vary between your freshmen, seniors, different types of programs.
Yeah, and plus that we're a Title IX school, at-risk students with a majority of Hispanics. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Well, being a core subject teacher, I firmly believe that they need to make all of my opportunities as important as they can. So they need to target more professional development opportunities towards the core subjects based on my needs.
And Mauro, being an elective teacher, how does the professional development work for you in Spanish?
Well, as an elective teacher, our base is not targeted as a core subject, but we do have to supply all the best effective strategies we can to all students, whether it be core or elective. And I feel that we can do that, we just have to take our steps and complete.
All right, and then Castillo, what about AP classes?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the professional development I experienced were more geared for regular students. I don't think we were provided enough, GT training or AP training to give to the students who are at a higher level than some of the lower students. So I felt that a lot of the trainings I went to were more geared towards the lower performing students instead of the higher performing students. So sometimes it didn't, like I said, we didn't see the relevance, the connection that we needed in those particular professional developments that we attended.
And Josh, how's it helping you in physics?
I guess I'd have to go back in what everyone here has mentioned is the relevance of the professional development we're getting. It seems that they're kind of going to a cookie cutter professional development fits all, whereas as we know in education, cookie cutter is not the way to go. They need to tailor it more to the specific contents, more meaning within the content, because I feel that those are the kind of professional developments I get more personally out of, is actually sitting down with my content and planning and giving best practices. And as far as the relevance goes, for example, they tell us, well, here's a PD on technology, but that's great, but the technology here on campus, access to it is spotty at best. So tailor it more to what we need to our individual needs.
And finally, Dustin Walls, even though you do teach health, which is an elective for some, it's also a necessity for our pre-med students here at the Early College campus. And with you teaching AP Health, are you finding that the professional development helping you?
I would say the biggest thing is, I mean, they're talking about relevance as it pertains to the kids that we deal with, but to me, it's this kind of the same thing on the other end. Like a classroom management thing would be great for a first year or a second year teacher, but for people that have been teaching for 10 years, if you don't have a classroom management plan that's effective, you probably wouldn't be teaching for that long, and we keep doing kind of the same things over, so it's a little bit repetitive sometimes, some of the stuff that we do, and it's not really, not just that it's not geared towards the kids that we're dealing with, but it's not geared toward our experience level in certain cases. I mean, yes, a new teacher, a first year teacher would need some of that stuff, but other people wouldn't find as much use from it, so.
All right, so, and taking this back to Dr. Hernandez, what y'all are saying is, we get a lot of professional development, but it's not geared to what you need as a teacher in order to grow. And the relevance of the topics to all of you as veteran teachers is very boring, and you're not getting anything out of it, and wasting your time, basically.
Internet.
It's not the best use of our time.
Right. So let's start off, starting over here with Dustin, let's go back. And everybody just give me one or two ideas of stuff. If you had your priorities or in a way that you could go to what you wanted, what would you want to see, Dustin?
Well, for health specifically, one of the things that myself and the other health teachers are always looking for is ways to kind of apply real world things in the classroom. And there's all kinds, I mean, there's a ton of opportunities for that in health because health is your real life, you know, so we're always looking for ways to maybe bring speakers in or, you know, just finding opportunities to kind of apply what we do in the classroom to things that they will experience outside the classroom, and a professional development where we could maybe be given some resources where we could find opportunities like that would be extremely helpful for us in health anyway.
All right, Josh, what about physics?
Since obviously all students learn differently, the big thing right now that we're looking at is differentiated instruction. You know, a lot of menu-based learning, but in order to implement that type of thing, as I said earlier, you need time with your peer group to plan those things, to build those things out. And there needs to be an understanding between, you know, us and administration that when you walk into the classroom, it may not be your DOL and your LOL because we are trying to go differentiated instruction. So your demonstration of learning may be different than his demonstration of learning. So that there's different things going on in the classroom rather than, well, I noticed that little Timmy wasn't working on his DOL right here, and how are you going to, you know, address that? Well, Timmy's not very good at math, but he's a great artist. So that's his demonstration of learning to illustrate Newton's third law, you know, and so there has to be some kind of flexibility in there. So when we develop, in the time when we're developing those plans, it can kind of be addressed.
All right, what about an AP English, Ray?
Well, English is its own animal for the most part. I mean, we're constantly teaching to the STAR exam and state standards. So for an AP classroom, I mean, that's just, you expect a lot more from these students. So if we're following each TEK the way they want us to for these next couple of years, and we're not really teaching an AP class, we're just teaching a regular English class. So like you said, differentiated instruction, I would like to see more project-based assignments, a lot of research, things that are going to be applicable for these kids who are going to, for the most part, go to college because they are in AP courses. I mean, they're the ones who we look at, hey, you're going to college, so we need to prepare you for college a little more.
What about in Spanish? What would be the ideal professional development for you?
Well, I would like to touch the point where Mr. Wall said about real life experience. Spanish is going to be a necessity in a few years coming up, maybe not in our lifetime, but maybe in the generation of these students. Spanish is a growing language. We have over 20 different countries that do speak Spanish that come and migrate into the United States. And something that works in the real world will be beneficial for these students. And I know a lot of textbook applications might work for now, but what about in the long run? And maybe something, some PD in that would be very helpful.
All right, Mike?
Well, I'm going to agree with Josh that in biology, what would help us more is to be able to have more content professional development opportunities so that we can further get on the same page and we help each other through our strengths and weaknesses so thereby we can support the kids a lot better. And also that our professional development needs more follow-up, because just because you roll something out to us, that's one day, and then we need to have more opportunities to get that reinforced before it becomes a habit.
All right, what about with the early college student in your classes?
In the early college program, their health credit that they get is a kinesiology-based health program. So it's different than a normal health classroom, and also different than an AP classroom is going to be. So there's several different health programs in there. The problem is you get this program and it's like, okay, what are you expecting? Well, it's like, okay, this is the textbook we're kind of going to follow, but what are other programs doing? You know, if we had professional development where we actually saw what other programs did, how they outlined their course, and helped us plan our entire school year, then we could then, see, okay, now let's do some type of development on different laboratory opportunities in that specific content, not just like, we do this station, yeah, but the way they show them may be kindergarten based. What about how specifically we could do it in that one? And if we can get more specific per content area and even per level that we're teaching at, that could make not only easier for the teacher, but also let that teacher expand more and more.
It's weird how we as teachers, we're teaching the kids and we're expected to have rigor and relevance as we teach students. And what it sounds like from y'all is y'all expect the same thing from the administration. When they develop professional development for us, that we want rigor and relevance as well. If we're a veteran teacher, we don't need to listen to a classroom management. We need something in our content area, because some of us have not been into a college class in years, and we're teaching what we know, but there's new stuff evolving, and we need to have training on how to bring that stuff to our kids. And also what I'm hearing is that technology is great, but when you try to implement something in the classroom, something always goes awry in this campus because of the internet shortage. And the other thing is I'm hearing is that we need to have follow-up. They teach us one thing and it's done. They expect us to carry on. So my word to the admin is rigor and relevance to teachers, but then also whatever they expect, they need to go inspect, and that means to follow up with us teachers to make sure that we're on the right track. All right, well, 2 more questions here. What degree of importance do the members place on professional development? We'll start with you, Mario. We're about to start school next week, tomorrow in fact. How important is the professional development to you as you get ready for school?
Well, to me, it is important to have a PD plan, just because as teachers we want to be on a plan for the students, just because we don't want a crazy classroom. And of course, we need to follow that as well, so that the classroom management, as well as their DOLs and LOLs, are intact. And of course, the PD is only as good as we make it. And of course, what they show us is all good and dandy, but once we said before, if they don't follow through and we don't have any inspection, then of course it's all for none.
Mike, what about you? What do you expect from the start of school?
Once again, I need to be able to maximize my time because we're not given sufficient enough time to set up and get our LOLs and our DOLs all in accordance and lined out. So I would like to see us have more time within our core so that we can plan it out and plan out the whole 9 weeks, first 9 weeks. So when the kids come through the door, they're seeing it very organized, classroom to classroom, teachers organized classroom to classroom so that they can get a better understanding, get a better foothold on what's expected.
And Fernando, with the early college kids?
I think it's extremely important, once again, if it's relevant. You know, if we get more of the professional developments where it talks about, you know, how, I keep going back to, you know, they're related to more younger kids. And if it's not relevant to us, then we're gonna sit there and be like, well, this isn't important, we're wasting our time. But I think there's things at the beginning of the year that we forget throughout the summer. We are on that summer mode, trying to get back into school mode, and it should be very important as long as we get that relevancy, that time with our actual peer group, our core, our content, and you know we can actually develop together.
All right, Ray?
Throughout my career, I think it's about, putting things in your arsenal to teach. I mean, it's about, teaching us lessons to provide our kids as well. I'm tired of let's all get together and let's do icebreakers, or let's all get together and let's shake hands and meet. I mean, when do we have time to learn how and to teach the actual content? I want lessons in my arsenal. I want things in my back pocket, and I want to be organized, just like everybody else is saying. Is you want to be organized so when a kid walks in, he doesn't feel like, oh, this teacher just lives day by day. I mean, that's not really what it's like. I want more lessons that we can teach. So I'd rather PD be more geared toward that. Hey, let's get together with our content areas and let's do some lessons.
Physics?
I guess the question that I guess the key part of this that needs to be added is, the question was how do we, the degree of importance we put on professional development. I think we have to add, just like everyone said, it should be relevant or meaningful professional development, because it's like Mr. Walls said earlier, that as a teacher, I've been doing this for a while. I really don't need to sit in a 4-hour PD to tell me how to do a website or to set up my Eduphoria. It's meaningful PDs that we need. Don't, take something that can be told in a email or an hour meeting and stretch it out all day just for the sake of saying, hey, we had professional development these days. It seems that the professional developments we are having now are for the sake of saying we had professional development. It's kind of saying, hey, well, you know what? My teachers came in on Saturday and worked all day. Okay, well, what did they get done? Oh, we just kind of talked about doing websites. Well, that's not meaningful. We need meaningful professional development where, as Coach, or as Mr. Castillo said, we can add tools to our arsenal. It's all about a toolbox, and we have to, as teachers, continue to add to those toolboxes.
All right, Dustin?
Just in a strict sense, to address the question, the professional development is important, regardless of what profession you're in. If you're not getting better at it, then somebody else is going to take your job eventually. So it is, as a concept, professional development is definitely important. In recent memory, probably the most useful aspect, I guess, of the professional developments that we've been through is something like we switched last year to T-test, a different appraisal system for the teachers. So them familiarizing us with that was important for all the teachers to know, like what criteria we're being judged on. And then we switched from something else to LOs and DOLs, so being educated on that. I mean, that kind of stuff is important to get everybody on the same page and understand how you're being evaluated, how you're being assessed. Those kind of things are important, but those are, as we've kept bringing, those are not the kind of things that everybody needs every year. Those are the kind of things you need when they're new, like they were for this campus last year. And the things that would be consistently important are, the content area things that everybody's kept mentioning. So as a concept, professional development is important, and I think the biggest thing that maybe we miss a little bit is just keeping it relevant to the things that teachers need, and that would let us allow us to get a lot more out of it than we typically do.
Yeah, well, it's amazing that what the administration wanted last year was LO and DOLs, and they hammered on that every PD, and it's nice to hear that every one of y'all reflected on the LO and DOL. That's what the administration wanted last year, and it's obviously it's hammered into two other words that were hammered into us last year as teachers: rigor and relevance. And every one of y'all had said relevance. Every one of y'all. You know, the rigor is probably understood. You're all quality teachers. You're all very well respected on campus. And just keep doing what you're doing. And the rigor, I think, comes from what Ray said, is y'all need a toolbox of lessons. Y'all need to have meaningful lessons that you can use with the kiddos. You know, classroom management's all good. Procedures and policies, those are needed year in and year out since we have good administrators. But what we're all searching for is to add to our toolbox. So as we spend more time here, where have y'all gone in your professional career, either this year or in previous years or in other school districts? What have you done in order to add to that toolbox? Where has the school sent you? Have they sent you to Region 20? Have they sent you to a workshop? Have you gone to an ATPE workshop? You know, just throw some ideas so we can close this up so I can present to the admin. What are some ideas and places that our school can send to you, or send you rather, or bring to you to give you what you need?
For the most part, the previous district I came from, the admin actually sent us to Region 20 and sent us to, you know, LTF training, GT trainings and things like that. At this particular district, it's been more on me to research and find those types of trainings. Every training that I've been provided with this district has been from the district and going to district office, not to you know, a place like Region 20 where they actually deal with, you know, professional development specifically. So all the PDs I'm getting are from people that work for the district, you know, and I'm having to research outside sources in order to get outside training for specific content things that I'm trying to accomplish. And, you know, when it comes down to, you get that one statement, you know, it's not in the budget to send you to training. I just don't think that's acceptable, you know, from a district. It's necessary for all of us to go to PDs because it's part of our certification plan. We have to get trainings, and so, you know, there's certain things like GT training that the district has to provide to us teachers who teach at the higher level, the APs and the early colleges and the dual credits and things like that.
Josh, what about you?
I know early on when I first came to the district, this is the only district I've worked at. And I know my first year, that administration was very big on professional development, so I was actually sent to Region 20 for my GT training. And you went, they paid for a sub, they said here's how to log on, go take those classes, we got your sub taken care of for you. And we did it, and it was a lot of help, you know, because it taught me how to, it was all GT training, but I was able to apply that GT training to the regular students I'm teaching now, the non-GT, and it helped immensely in the way I approached my lesson plans. You know, it was all about holding a higher standard. Early on also, as a science teacher, we were sent to what's known as CAST. It is the state conference for science teachers all across Texas. And that PD, you were at that conference, you were able to walk in and go see how Vernier is using their technology and integrating it into lessons. And actually sit down, and they gave you lessons. They said, this is what you use, we're going to run through the lesson with you, now take it back. You know, you got to interact with other teachers from other districts and bring that back. But as Mr. Castillo said earlier, it went from, okay, we are going to only send 3 of y'all this year. Well, where is it at this year? Oh, it's, you know, and then to, well, we can't send any of y'all, even when it is downtown and it is in San Antonio, but yet I can't be sent there. One of the greatest resources for a science teacher, that conference.
Wow. Dustin, anything for you that you can go or have experienced?
I have been to Region 20 for one training in particular since I've been teaching health. That was very useful, but it was kind of I would say kind of a random thing, something that happened and we found out about it and we were able to go. But prior to teaching health, I was also an English teacher, or used to be an English teacher. And the professional developments that we would go to then were always, when things change, when we transitioned from the tax test to the STAR test, you know, that was a big hoopla for everybody in the
Yeah.
state, I'm sure. And so we went to a training in Austin to kind of familiarize the English department with what the new standards were going to be and what the test was going to look like and stuff like that. So I guess kind of in general, the trainings that I've been sent to at this district were always kind of reactive instead of proactive. You know, hey, something drastic is about to happen with your content area, so you guys go over there and get caught up and make sure we don't mess anything up, rather than kind of staying abreast of trends in the educational arena. We kind of wait until something happens and then, oh, go do that. So I have been to a few that were good, but they always seem sort of last minute rather than looking ahead.
What about in Spanish?
Well, in Spanish, we really normally don't get sent unless you're an AP level teacher, which I have not been. As an elective, it's not like targeted as a core. So a lot of more core teachers are the ones that are sent, especially GT, AP, all that good stuff. They're the ones that usually get the ones that get sent. But I have gone early on as a young teacher to Region 20. I've also gone to a few at within the district, just because I was a young teacher. I really didn't know what to expect, and I learned a few techniques in order for me to be effective in the classroom. But as of lately, I have not had the opportunity for them to send me anywhere. And like Mr. Castillo said, I would have to research more of my classes that I would need to be at in order for me to even go. Not necessarily them, oh, this is available and this is available, this is available. But more of a research rather than importance, I guess.
Mike, quick summary, what have you done?
Well, I've been to many trainings at Region 20, and for the most part, some are relevant, some were not relevant, but they were mostly reactive instead of being proactive. It used to be where they told us, okay, you have this selection, these courses that you need to look at and think about signing up for and going to trainings, instead of, as it is now, where they say, okay, you have an opportunity to go to Region 20 and find a course, instead of, okay, what courses are relevant? So.
What about you, Coach Burr?
My previous school, I was actually teaching 2 sports medicine courses, and the really cool part about the development with that one was that they would send me to places like here in San Antonio, the UT Health Science Center here in San Antonio, and I'd sit in with labs and not only see what they were doing in their labs, and sometimes it's their leading sports medicine, exercise science researchers doing their actual labs, but they're kind of giving me some ideas of what they're doing with their entry-level undergrads and how I can even implement that into my classroom setting with the high schools. I mean, things, when we're talking about something as in, skin wounds, abrasions, lacerations, well, we begin a lab on how to suture them, and we taught the high school kids how to do that. Like this really cool thing that the kids were able to engage in. Coming over here, they gave me a list of some classes to go to at Region 20. Well, once again, it became down to like, okay, how am I going to use this in this particular setting? And that's where we struggled. And like the Harry Wong one they had us go to, it was great. And every time I asked in the Region 20 room, how do I do this when I have 5 different classes coming in every 45 minutes? They're like, well, we'll have to figure that out because this is more for like if we have them for 3 hours. So once again, you know, I think we're kind of falling off on that end.
Well, from what I hear is that everybody's gone to Region 20. You've all been sent there, but it's always reactive than proactive, or it's a basic requirement if you're teaching AP or GT classes. And then it's a new thing in education. Like y'all stated, that you get training from people within our district. And that is a new initiative in education where the central office wants to create